Hello, everybody. Can see that there's a couple of people that have joined. Fantastic. My name's Josh. I'm going to be taking you through the Mission Control webinar today. This is just like a general overview. So if anybody's got any questions or they want to jump in at any stage, please, yeah, let us know. If you just bear with me for 1 second. Just got to find where there it is. I lost the Zoom window. Alrighty. So I'm just going to take us through a couple of slides to start, and then I'm going to jump straight into the product. Didn't want to spend too much time on slides. Just give me a second. Alrighty. Okay. Cool. So welcome everybody. As I mentioned, my name is Josh. I'm an account executive here in Australia. The business is called Aprico, and we sell a product called Mission Control. Mission Control is a PSA platform, we call it, professional services automation. It's a project management platform. And what I'm going to take you through today is a general overview, show you pretty much all of the out-of-the-box features that we offer. And as I mentioned, if anybody's got any questions, please jump in. So I'm based in Australia. I thought I'd just show a quick slide around our team. So Colin's our CEO and founder, and he's been a part of the Salesforce ecosystem for 20 years. Started off as a SI partner, so implementing Salesforce for customers that are using Salesforce. Needed a platform to manage his day-to-day better, and here we are selling Mission Control. I've got two other sales colleagues, one based in the US, one based in Canada, Julian and Lexi. My CRO, Corey, and then Victor, who's the head of our professional services team. So generally, anybody that I'm speaking to in Australia that's purchasing Mission Control, probably only going to be dealing with me, Colin, and Victor. And sometimes Corey will join calls with us too, just to offer a little bit of support. So Mission Control is native to Salesforce, which means no logins when you're wanting to access the system. As soon as you log into your Salesforce account, Mission Control is there ready to go as a number of custom objects. These are the different Salesforce license types that we work with. So generally, I would say most people are using professional and enterprise, but we also do work with things like FSL, Revenue Cloud. We're fully embedded into the Salesforce platform. The beauty of that is we can leverage a lot of Salesforce functionality. So custom fields, custom page layouts, business logic like validation rules. We can work with flows, any kind of triggers, and then also being able to access and leverage things like the reports and dashboards. So it's a really, really comprehensive platform, and yeah, fully accessible through the Salesforce system. Now, the box that says there that says works out of the box. The reason that we put that there is realistically, if you wanted to install the Mission Control package into your system and then start using it pretty much straight away without any customization, it works out of the box. So all the functionality that you're going to see today, there's no kind of like real provisioning or anything like that. As soon as you install that package, yeah, you're going to be able to use all of the features that are included. We can customize it. So I would say, there's a lot of our customers when we're bringing them on board and we're going through that implementation process, they are using some custom fields or, maybe some integrations with other systems. But yeah, it's a very, very easy platform to get up and running. Every kind of Salesforce user every Mission Control user needs a Salesforce license. There are a couple of licenses that I think are included in some subscriptions that are free that we can tack onto. But yeah, if you've got any questions in particular around the licensing, please reach out, let me know. And just from a support perspective, so we are a global company. I showed you a couple of my colleagues that I work with. From a support perspective, I've got people that are based in Australia that help with support, and then I've got people based in the US as well. So there's always some kind of crossover. If you're online late at night and you're trying to get help with something in particular, we've got somebody that's there ready to chat with you. Okay, so this is a feature wall, and you're going to notice there's a lot on here. Don't get too overwhelmed. But realistically, the reason that I like to show this is just to show, I guess, what we cover. So resource management, project management, program management, portfolio management, and collaboration. So under resource management, think of how do we reflect what we charge for an individual's time or what we pay them potentially. Are they a part of a particular team? Do they have a set number of skills that are required to do the work that they do? We're able to use things like a scheduler to make sure that our resources. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I just realized I was sharing the wrong screen. Let me just quickly go back. Sorry about that, team. Just quickly go back a couple of steps. So this was the photo of the team. These are my colleagues I mentioned. And this was the screen that I was showing when I was talking a little bit about the native to Salesforce. So these are the different license types that we work with, and then the benefits as well that we've got. Then this is the page that I was showing when I was talking about the works out of the box and then the global support. And just going back to the feature wall now. So project management side, we can generate projects from opportunities. We cover agile, kind of sprint work, epic boards, project overview in full, which I'll cover today. We have a Gantt chart, which can track things like critical path. We manage risk management, issue management. We've got full-time tracking, so timesheets, which I'll show you today. We can track and manage project financials. So if you're writing any invoices, we can transcribe those in Mission Control as well. All right, so let's jump into the demo of the platform. So you'll notice, as I mentioned, there is we're fully integrated with Salesforce. So I didn't have to log in to get into the screen. I've logged into my Salesforce account to be able to show you this. And what I've got here is a pre-built dashboard that we've got included in the platform, which you could have access to if you were interested in purchasing Mission Control. I can still manipulate these reports. I can manipulate this dashboard as well. It's fully customizable. Now, I would say typically when people are wanting to use features of Mission Control, they would come to this page here, which is the Mission Control console. And this is like a quick launch area. So an area where we can find different parts of the Mission Control platform. Maybe I want to have a look at my timesheets. Maybe I want to have a look to see if there's been any issues or risks raised. And then when I go to the management pad, you can see here some more quick launch options. I think I really like the way that we're integrated, as the UI seems very similar to Salesforce. So a lot of our users and a lot of our end users, most of the time they don't even really know that they're in another system. More our end users, like our frontline workers. Now, everything that we do within Mission Control starts from what we call a role. So typically when we're implementing for a customer or we're taking a customer through an implementation process, we would create a set of roles for individual users that are going to be using Mission Control. So think of a role as like an end user. As you can see here, I've got this role record. Her name's Alana. She's a consultant, and I've got some really important information in this box here. So just want to go into the edit screen quickly, and I'll show you a couple of fields that we have here. So I can specify how many hours per week Alana works. So I've put 40 in there for her. Her billable target is at 80%. So we want 80% of the work that Alana is doing to be able to be billable. I can specify what the billable hourly rate and cost hourly rate is as well. So when we're tracking project financials, when we're sending invoices, when we're trying to understand how much profit or what our gross margin is within a project, this information is going to be really, really important. Now, scrolling down this page, I just want to go to the bottom just to show you these other two sections. So we can see here that I've got team assignment and skill assignment. So the way that we segment users within Mission Control is by setting a team for them, and setting a master team as well to say, hey, Alana, the main work that she does as a consultant, when I report or when I'm trying to find the best resource for a piece of work, I want to make sure that she pops up in the search as a consultant. And then one step further, when we're trying to get a little bit more granular with the kind of work that we're doing, is setting like a group of skills for the individual. So let's say we've got a particular project that requires maybe a certification for them to be able to complete that work. So you can see here, ADM 201. Alana's got this certification. So then when I'm creating a project and I'm trying to find a resource that is a part of the consultants team that has the ADM 201 certification, I can, make sure that she pops up in the list. So it's just another level of differentiation when we're trying to say, hey, we want to get really granular with the kind of work that we're scheduling. Let's make sure that we're choosing the right resource. I'm just quickly checking the chat. I'm just trying to see if there's any questions that have popped up just yet. Okay, we're good with questions for now. All right, so the next thing that I want to show you is how we would create a project. So there's a couple of ways that we can do it. The way that I like to show to start is through an opportunity. So, generally people that are using Salesforce, they've got some kind of sales function. They're probably working out of opportunities. I work out of opportunities here as an account executive, and we have it connected with our mission control internally as well. So a couple of things to point out on this opportunity page. This top section looks pretty much exactly the same. Some people have like different UIs, and I'm sure they've got different fields. But what we offer on the opportunity page is a way to generate a project being triggered by an event. So there's two ways that we can do it. I can utilize this box down here, and I can say I want to generate a project from this specific project template. The project start date is going to be this date, and then I would reflect in here to generate the project. Once I hit save, a project is going to be created. I've got a clever way that we generate projects, which is through a flow. Now, this is not out of the box functionality, just to be transparent, but very, very straightforward to create. And we've got some training videos on how to do that as well. So the way that I've set this flow up is to say once my opportunity has hit the closed won phase, I'd like to generate a project. So I'm going to select this as my project template. I'll say that we're going to have opportunity as the generation method. The project's going to start next week on the 25th. I hit save on that. Then what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to go and select my stage, hit close one. So we've closed the deal. All that pre-sales work is done. We've discussed how much they're going to pay for the project, when they'd like it to start, what's going to be included, and then we've won that deal now. So I'm just going to hit refresh, and then we can see here that I've got my project that's been generated. Now, what you'll notice is this is the project template that I pulled from, but the project name has changed. So Quicksilver Webinar is what I set the opportunity as, and that's actually pulled across into the project details. So we've got some ways that we can map fields from the opportunity to the project. Where I see that being powerful is, just trying to avoid double entry. We're pulling all that really important data from the sales team. The project team don't have to go and reach out to the sales team to confirm too many details, maybe, less details. So yeah, there's a good way to transfer that across. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click into the project, and we're going to go through some of the features that are included in our project object. So you'll notice at the top, we've got leads, contacts, opportunities, accounts, reports, dashboards over here. They are all Salesforce objects. Then as you start to look across this, you'll see projects, timesheets, scheduler, whiteboard, Gantt, resource planner. These are all mission control objects. So this is what we offer our customers. So what I'm clicked onto right now is the project itself. So we've done the deal, we've closed the work, we're about to kick off the work in getting the project up and running. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean when we're looking at the structure and the terminology that it's set to kind of like very specific industries. We work across multiple industries globally. And I think if you were to sit with me and ask what some of our customers do, you would be surprised at the kind of organizations that use this. So the way that I see it, if you are running any kind of project in any capacity that has a start and an end date that's broken up into maybe milestones, tasks, phases, you can utilize Mission Control to manage that. So I've clicked into the project and you'll see here that I've got a group of tools that I can access. So my Insights tab, I've got this set to be the first tab that I see when I open this. You can choose if you would want it to open on a different tab. But this is at a glance a very good place to be able to see, hey, what's the kind of work that we've completed? How much of a project budget do we have? Are there any hours logged against it? Have we raised any invoices? This is a really, really good place to come and have a look to get a bit of information at the progress. The next part is this overview section. So this is our work breakdown structure. And what I've done is I've just collapsed all of these just to kind of explain the way that we would sort of specify that work breakdown structure. So I've got phases at the top. We've got a 7-layer one, which is portfolios, programs, phases, projects, milestones, actions, and checklist items. So at the top part of this, I've got my discovery, implementation, and delivery as my phases. When I then expand, I've got individual milestones under each phase. So in my discovery, I need to get analysis. We're going to solidify the solutions architecture, implementation. So we can see here that I've got my kind of milestones underneath. I'm going to expand one more step. We've got our milestones. We've got our actions underneath. Now, these actions, these green ones, this is what we log time against. So I'm working on this requirement session. We've done it on the 25th. I've got 8 hours scheduled. So maybe what I might do is I might log some time against this particular action. Now, logging time, there's a couple of ways that we can do it. You'll see this clock icon pop up all over the platform, not just in this section. So we can see here that it's accessible there. If I click these 3 dots here, I can access the timesheets here as well. Down the bottom of the screen, I've got my log time option, and I've also got a standalone timesheet function, which I will show you shortly. So a lot of work can be done in this section. Now, a couple of other things to point out. We'll notice that we've got a phase owner, a milestone owner, and an action owner. So the roles that I showed you earlier, we've also got another role type, which we will call a placeholder. So this is essentially saying, hey, I know for this piece of work, I need a project manager. I need a project manager for here. For these items, I need a consultant. And then as I go down a little bit further, there's going to be, a placeholder for trainer. So we don't know who the resource is going to be that's going to sit on that just yet. But we know that when somebody completes this piece of work, this is the team or this is the type of work that they do. Now, why I think this is really powerful is because I've created this project as a template, it's going to pull across all this information as well. And what I can do from here is I can then go and assign who I think is going to be the best resource based on this criteria. So there's 2 ways we can do this. If I wanted to just assign it to an individual line item, I click on this, that blue box that was there, and we can see here that I've got like a little search engine. So this is an internal search engine, and what I'm doing here is I'm looking for somebody that is a project manager. I just noticed I've got 2 on there, so I'll just quickly add them both in case one's a little bit different. I can also select my skills here as well, but we'll keep it simple and we'll just do it by team. So we're going to hit search, and then what Mission Control is going to do is it's going to go and look for the best available resource for me. We've got a couple of screens that look a little bit similar to this with the green, red, and there's a yellow color as well. It's just a traffic light system. So essentially say, hey, so this week as an example, Alana for the week of, for the day of the 25th, she's got nothing assigned to her at the moment. So I reckon Alana is going to be a really good resource for that. Now we can actually have contributors as well. So we can see here that if I just go back up to my search, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my consultants team in there. We're going to get a couple of other options in here. So Kelly, as an example, I can see is completely free next week at this stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Kelly as a contributor. Now, deleting this placeholder, you'll notice that Alana's got 8 hours. So what I want to do is I actually want to give Kelly 4 of those hours. And then that's minused off Alana's. So we can work collaboratively within Mission Control. And I think this is a really nice way to be able to see who's going to be the best available resource for that work. So I'm going to hit save on that, and you're going to notice that the line item here now has Alana attached to it. And then when I hover my mouse over this, we can see that Kelly's on there as well. So that's the first way that we can assign. And I would like, as I mentioned, it's for like the individual line item that's there. The next option that we've got is our auto assignment wizard. So this is a tool that is going to recommend the best resources for the whole project based on the team that they're a part of. Just give me one second. Okay, I've got a couple of line items here that don't have. So I've got my checklist items there. So I'm just going to quickly jump into a different project. And I will show you the auto assignment. Okay. So just going back to my overview. So I'm going to select the auto assignment here. And I want it to recommend who the best resources are going to be for this particular project. So the project would have those placeholder roles. They are not going to be real people. We just know that it needs those resources. So what this has done now is it's recommended who the best fit is going to be. So you can see here I've got Carissa as 60% match, got Bethany at 50, Julian at 65, Kelly's really looking really good, like awesome capacity, 95%. And then we'll put Josh on this as well. So what it's going to do now is it's going to go and apply all those individuals to the record. And you can see there that they've been attached. I've got actual people attached to there now. All right, so just going back to my original template here. We've got our work breakdown structure, which I went through with you. We can see that the placeholder roles are on there. So the next thing that I like to go through is just some tools that individuals use on a day-to-day basis to manage their work. So the first one is called what we call the whiteboard, but it's a Kanban board. So the way that I see this being used and how I would use this on a day-to-day is I know that I'm going to be working on all of these over the next few weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go from top to bottom. So first thing that I'm going to start is this piece of work, which is my requirements session. I've put that in the in progress column. So the status of this particular line item or action has been changed. Action, task. I've got some quick action options on the right here. So I mentioned when we were going through the slides earlier that we leverage a lot of Salesforce functionality. Chatter is one of those. So when we're working collaboratively with other people, I can come in here and I can say, maybe to Colin, hey Colin, I was supposed to catch up with a client today. But they rescheduled. So the chatter works completely. This also rolls up to our account records, which means, everything that sits at the account, all the data that we're collecting goes straight up to the account records. Some other things that I can do in here is I can add checklist items. So where I see this being used is I know I need to do this needs analysis, but what I want to do is just break that down further into individual checklist items. I can log time directly from here as well. And this is the first time that you guys would have seen one of the timesheets. So this is an individual timesheet that's related to that particular task. And you can see that there's a lot of detail here. I can log notes against it. I show how many hours that I completed. Is the action or the task 100% complete? Is it 50% complete? And I've still got my status bar there as well. Another thing that we can do is we can start tracking time. So this is like a, hey, hit start button, complete the work, hit the button again, and then it'll end the timer. So there's a couple of ways that we can reflect time there. The next tool that people use, I would say this is probably like one of our most used features is the Gantt chart. And I'll point out a couple of things on the Gantt chart here. So the first thing I'll say is on the left-hand side, you'll notice that we've got our work breakdown structure similar to that overview page. And as I expand it, we've got our phases, I've got my milestones, I've got my actions, and then as I scroll down, I've got my checklist items as well. Now, on this Gantt chart, we can create dependencies between particular pieces of work. So we can see here that I am connecting these tasks together. So for whatever reason, if I need to reschedule something, I've got the ability to be able to reschedule it, and I can move that out, and then all my other tasks will move out with it. Now, another thing that we can do on the Gantt chart is we can track baseline dates. So you'll notice here that I've got this yellow bar. And the reason that this yellow bar is here is this is originally what I planned to do, but that's all been rescheduled because, for whatever reason. I can extend the timeline of tasks on here as well, or actions, and I can also click into these just to get a little bit more information, or maybe make changes to some details. So we're able to track the critical path using the baseline dates. We can create dependencies in between, and we can interact with this Gantt chart as well. And you can see here we've got our checklist items too, which is really good. Okay, a couple of other things that we can do on this screen is we can import or export from other projects. So we can import into the Gantt chart if we export them as a project. We've got a PDF export, and we've also got the ability to export to Microsoft projects. Now it's being decommissioned later on this year, but for people that are still using it, the option is there. Okay, so a couple of other things that I'll point out on this overview, depending on if your organization, if they charge expenses to customers, we've got a full expense tracking. So I can raise a new expense, which can go through an approval process. We've also got the ability to raise invoices too. So we can see here that I've got a $100,000 project budget. I've invoiced about $40,000 worth of that. This is what's remaining. And depending on how you update statuses, if you've got an accounting software or finance software like Xero, we can integrate with those systems, which is going to bring back a, hey, this is how much has been paid. So realistically, you should be able to run your business fully within Mission Control. Okay, so the next feature that I like to cover is our scheduler. Now, where I see the scheduler being used mainly is, let's say we are having an internal meeting, we're going through some upcoming projects that are in the pipeline, and we want to figure out who's going to be the best resource available, depending on who can do that task or who we need for that particular piece of work. Opening up this scheduler is, I think, a really good way to just be able to get a gauge on people's capacity. Now, what this looks for here is what their total hours per week were. So if you remember when we were speaking about Alana, it was 40 hours per week that she works. So we can see here on the 18th of May right now, she's scheduled to work 36. So we're getting close to her 40 hours. Down here, we can see Bethany, she's got a 40-hour work week as well. But she's at 31, so there's still a little bit of room for her that week. That's why we've got that yellow indicator there. So this can be viewed well into the future as well. So, maybe I want to have a look at a period of time next year to see if we've got any projects in the pipeline, just to make sure that, the individual isn't working, or they're not being scheduled to anything at the moment. So obviously this is very far in advance. I do have some clients that have project plans or projects that are going to occur a year in advance, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on the kind of work that they do. So I think it's fantastic that you're able to, get a gauge into what people are doing and where they're working. A couple of other options at the top here. We can look at projects by actions. View the scheduler by actions. So just going back to the today option, we can see here that this is all the work that my teams are doing at the moment. If I want to, let's say, filter this a little bit and just show, let's say we'll just show our consultants as an example. So I've got my 4 consultants on here. I can see that Colin's working on a very, very big project at the moment. I can see that Joel's got some stuff in the pipeline as well. I spoke to Stephanie the other day and she said that I need to reschedule this. So I can actually reschedule tasks, and you can see that I've moved that from Stephanie to Kelly as an example. Then at a glance as well, we just want to be able to see what people are working on as projects in general. We don't move these sections here, but we can see as an example, Colin's working on a mission control release, and we also specify holidays on the scheduler as well. So if it's a global holiday, they'll be able to see that, and we can also do where people apply for leave too. And if they're on leave at that period of time, it'll reflect, on the scheduler. Okay, timesheets. So we spoke a little bit about timesheets earlier, and there's multiple areas where you can create timesheets. So one of the options was down the bottom here. So if I click on this log time option, you'll notice that this looks very similar to that previous screen that I showed, but it's just kind of log time anyway. Now, if I'm on a particular project, so let me just quickly go back to this as an example, and I click this log time option, you'll notice that it's actually pulled the project directly in there. So it's intuitive in that sense. You don't have to remember the project off the top of your head. So there's that option there. Then we've got our full timesheet capability as well. So I've got this viewed as what I'm working on for this week, so the week of the 18th. And these are all the tasks that I'm working on this week or should be working on this week. So I can see here that I've got these boxes here. The top column is billable, the bottom is non-billable. And I can just go in and start to add time in. So I did 4 hours that day on this action. I did 2 hours on this that day. I did one. So there's this line item. I've got 4 hours. So you can see and you can understand how kind of easy it is to log that time. We can double click into this as well if we wanted to add some extra detail. So, for this particular task that I've been working on, we've got, some notes that need to be added. And then when people go back to have a look at that time log, it's going to have a record of that. I mentioned we've got the time track option as well. So that's there too. So I can click that to get started. That's going to go a red color just to indicate that the timer is active. Give that a second. And then I can stop it as well. So you can see here when I click on that, this was a test. And if I hit save on it, that's going to create a timesheet for me now. The other option that we've got on here is what we call a calendar converter. So this is going to have, this can have an integration with your calendars, and our calendars will reflect meeting blocks. So let's say as an example, I know that I'm working on this today. I can actually go into it in this view. I can log my time. And that looks exactly the same there. All right, so I'm just going to have a quick look to see if there was any questions at all. Okay, we've got one question. Can we integrate timesheets with accounting systems? Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that we've got integrations with multiple finance systems. Technically, you're connecting it to Salesforce, but we still map information across. So we can send timesheet information to finance systems. We can also pull timesheet information from finance systems as well, or As an example, I've got a client that completes their timesheets in QuickBooks, and then that brings across the information from QuickBooks into Mission Control. So yeah, I'm happy to chat offline as well, just to find out what your accounting system is, just so that I can confirm. But yeah, majority of them we work with. Ah, okay, zero. Awesome. Cool. All right, so we've gone through timesheets, we've gone through the scheduler. The next tool that I'm going to show you is the master Gantt chart. So this looks pretty much exactly the same as the other Gantt chart, except this is at like a global level. So what you can see here are actually all projects, as opposed to individual line items. So these are all the projects that my team are working on at the moment, all in the one screen. As I expand this, we can see that I've got my um, projects in the milestones, and then I can keep going down. I've got my actions and I've got my checklist items as well. Now, the reason that I show this page is we can actually create dependencies between projects. So I might create a dependency between this Billabong webinar project and this Billabong webinar project. And we can see here that if I'm scheduling or rescheduling this piece of work, everything works, everything that I'm working on there moves too. So this is really helpful for people that are working on multiple projects. Yeah, you'll be able to create those dependencies in between the projects as well, which I think is really helpful. This is also a good way to just get a kind of gauge on what people are working on at the moment, what's the timeline that's involved. I think it's a really good way to get a nice overview of what everybody's doing. And then we've also got the master Kanban board too. So this is all of the projects that I'm working on in the system. And we can see here that I've got my project names there. So you can see there's multiple projects. These are all the statuses that are included. So yeah, a really, really nice way to get an overview of what everybody is doing here. So a couple of things that I also wanted to chat about was our risks and issues log. So we can see here that on this project in particular, I've got a risk log and I've got an issues log as well. Now, what a risk is I'm working on a project at the moment. I predict that something is going to occur that is going to impact the delivery, the timeline, have any kind of negative impact on there. So I've got a couple in here as well. So resource availability is a bit of a risk because we're under resource at the time. The timeline of it is changing because maybe we're having to reschedule meetings in some capacity. So these are just some examples of what we would do. Now, if I actually click into this risk, what I can do is I can promote this to an issue. So we can see here, promote risk to issue. So what this means is the risk is I'm predicting that it's going to occur. The issue is that it's occurred. So I can just say it's a general issue. We'll say that it's in progress. This is a high priority because we really need to find a resource. This is going to have a very high impact. So I hit the save button. And then if I just go back to my project and I go to my issues log, we can see there that my issue has populated. Now, we can log time against issues as well, or like we log a timesheet and it can be related to the issue. But what I want to do now is I actually want to assign this to somebody. So the owner of it is me. I'm just going to hit edit. Issue owner. It defaults as me to start. So what we can do there is we can make sure that the right person is assigned to that. So potentially we want to assign that to a manager or somebody that's overseeing a project. I think it's really important for transparency. Some other things that I wanted to show as well on our project was our budget items. So we can have projects at a kind of basic level, right? So we've got an overall budget for the project. We have different billing types as well. So I'll just quickly show you in here. Billing type, fixed price. We can do fixed price and expenses, time and materials. Potentially it's controlled on milestones. So once we complete a task, we want to raise an invoice. We support all these options in there. So at a basic level, we have a fixed price project. Somebody gives us $100,000 to complete some work. But what I want to do is I actually want to separate and categorize what that $100,000 is going to go towards. So we can have individual budget line items, and then we can relate multiple tasks, right? So like I could relate this entire section here just to my delivery budget as an example. Now, as people log time, our budget information is going to start to change, and we'll be able to pull information like profit and loss, our gross margin, and a lot of other options in there as well. The other thing that we can do within Mission Control is have a look at timesheets that are then relevant to the project itself. So we can see here that there's been 2 timesheets that have been created. I can go in as a person that's maybe these individuals' managers, and we have an approval process if that's how you wanted to set it up. All right, so just having a look at the chat one last time. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, team. Well, thank you so much for joining today. If you've got any questions, please reach out. You can jump onto our website and fill out the contact us form. You can also reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. If you do have any questions, I'd be more than happy to go through them in detail with you. And yeah, thank you for joining. Really appreciate your time.